All right, get ready, because today we're going deep down a Reddit rabbit hole.
Ooh, sounds fun.
Someone asked, what's a sign you're actually not a nice person?
Okay.
And the answers people gave,
Yeah,
they got really real.
I can imagine.
We're talking brutally honest,
Mm,
self-reflection here,
yeah,
maybe some uncomfortable truths.
definitely.
So get ready.
Uh-huh.
What I thought was so interesting is this
Yeah.
simple question
Right.
sparked this huge debate about
Mm.
what niceness even means.
Yeah, it makes you think
It does.
about what it really means.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of forces people to confront
Uh-huh.
those subtle ways that we might be fooling ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Or even others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was struck by how many responses
Mm-hmm.
went way beyond, like,
Right.
surface-level politeness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the top comments was,
Yeah.
character is how you treat someone who serves you no purpose.
Ooh.
That one hit hard.
It does.
It is powerful
Yeah.
because it really challenges us
Right.
to think about that whole idea
Uh-huh.
of conditional niceness.
Mm.
Are we only nice
Right.
when we think it benefits us?
Yeah.
Or is genuine kindness about treating everyone
Exactly.
with respect, regardless of, like,
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
perceived value to us?
Right. It makes you wonder
It does.
about all those times
Uh-huh.
that we may be nice,
Mm.
but with an ulterior motive.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Several Redditors shared stories about
Yeah.
so-called friends who just disappeared
Oh, yeah.
the moment they couldn't be helpful anymore.
Well, that's awful.
Like one person talked about
Yeah.
losing friends after becoming disabled and
Yeah.
needing different kinds of support.
Oh, it's so sad.
And these stories highlight
Yeah.
a really crucial point.
Okay.
True kindness,
Uh-huh.
it's not transactional.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about keeping score
Right.
or expecting something in return.
Yeah.
It's about genuine care and empathy for another human being,
Yeah.
regardless of what they can do for you.
What about those people who are
Yeah.
just straight up mean?
Ooh, good question.
Is there some connection between being mean
Yeah,
and just feeling bad about yourself?
that's interesting.
One Redditor suggested that maybe spreading bad vibes
Okay.
is a way of dealing with, like, inner turmoil.
Inner turmoil, yeah.
So is that true?
Well,
Are mean people secretly sad people?
you know, it's a bit more nuanced than that.
Okay.
While it's true that sometimes those negative emotions can
Yeah.
sometimes lead to lashing out,
Okay.
there's a big difference between like
Thanks.
someone having a bad day
Okay.
and someone who consistently uses cruelty as like a tool.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You have to look at the patterns of behavior,
Okay.
not just like isolated incidents.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So meanness can come from a lot of different factors.
Real.
From, like, poor social skills to deeper issues like
Yeah.
narcissism or a
Mhm.
need for control.
Exactly.
It's not always about personal unhappiness.
Right.
Sometimes it's a calculated strategy
Yeah.
to manipulate
Uh-huh.
or dominate others.
It can be. Yeah.
That's kind of a scary thought.
It is a little bit. Yeah.
And speaking of scary,
Okay.
some Redditors brought up this
Yeah.
chilling idea
Mm.
that some people actually equate cruelty
Okay.
with power.
Really?
Like, one person recalled someone asking
Uh-huh.
completely seriously,
Wow.
what do you mean you'd rather be liked than respected?
That's a really interesting example because it shows
Right.
a distorted understanding of both power and respect.
Okay.
True power comes from within.
Yeah.
It's about integrity,
Right.
self-awareness,
Uh-huh.
and the ability to inspire others.
Okay.
And respect is earned through those qualities,
Right.
not through fear or intimidation.
So it's like they're confusing being feared
Yeah.
with being respected.
Exactly. And those are totally different things.
Wow.
And often, this craving for power
Okay.
through cruelty
Uh-huh.
masks a deep-seated insecurity.
Interesting.
Those who feel the need to dominate
Mm-hmm.
or belittle others
Right.
may be trying to compensate for their own perceived weaknesses.
Yeah, this is already making me reevaluate some things about myself and the people in my life.
Yeah.
So we've talked about what
Right.
niceness isn't.
Yeah.
But what about those red flags?
Yeah. What about them?
That should make us go, maybe this person isn't as nice as they seem.
Good question.
Redditors provided a whole
Yeah.
laundry list of those.
Interesting.
One of the most common ones was
Yeah.
putting others down
Mm-hmm.
to feel better about oneself.
Right?
Think subtle digs
Mm.
disguised as jokes.
Oh, yeah.
backhanded compliments,
I see.
that kind of thing.
Right.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely encountered that.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And it never feels good
No,
to be on the receiving end.
definitely not.
It's like
Right.
they get a little boost of ego
Yeah.
at the expense of your self-esteem.
It's true.
What about talking negatively
Mm-hmm.
behind people's backs?
Uh-huh.
That seems like a pretty obvious sign,
Yeah, it is.
to me at
yeah.
least, that they're not a nice person.
Absolutely.
Okay, so tell me what you think about this, Kai.
Okay.
Gossip and negative talk.
Yeah.
Are those classic hallmarks
They are.
of someone who may not be genuinely kind
Exactly.
if they're constantly trash-talking others
Yeah.
when they're not around?
Right.
It makes you wonder
It does.
about their trustworthiness
Uh-huh.
and overall character.
Absolutely.
What about those people
Okay.
who just can't handle it
Mm.
when someone expresses an emotion
Yeah.
they don't like?
Oh,
Like, they shut down any conversation about
Yeah.
feelings
Okay.
or just dismiss them outright.
Yeah, I've seen that.
What do you think that means?
Well, that lack of empathy
Okay.
is a huge red flag.
Right.
You know, truly nice people
Uh-huh.
make an effort to understand and validate
Right.
others' emotions.
Okay,
Even if
yeah.
they don't fully agree with them,
Right.
they recognize that everyone experiences the world differently
Yeah.
and that all feelings are valid.
Okay, so
Yeah.
validating feelings is important.
It really is.
And then there's that sense of humor that
Uh.
just leaves everyone feeling worse.
Right.
You know, those people
Yeah.
who think they're hilarious,
Uh-huh.
but their jokes are just
Yeah.
mean-spirited
Mm.
and hurtful.
Okay.
So what about those people?
Well, you know,
Yeah.
humor can be a powerful tool for connection,
Okay.
but it can also be weaponized.
Right.
If someone consistently uses humor
Uh-huh.
to demean or belittle others,
Yeah.
it's a sign
Right.
that they may prioritize their own amusement
Right.
over the well-being of those around them.
Okay, so we've got this whole list of red flags.
Right.
But how do we actually deal with people who exhibit these traits?
Yeah. What do you do?
I mean, it's easy to say just avoid them,
Right.
but sometimes that's not realistic,
Uh-huh.
especially if it's like a coworker
Yeah.
or a family member
Yeah.
or someone you can't completely cut out of your life.
Exactly.
What do we do then?
That's the tough question. Well, you're right. Avoidance isn't always possible.
Right.
So what can you do?
Okay.
First, set clear boundaries.
Okay.
Let the person know
Yeah.
that certain behaviors are not acceptable
Okay.
and that you won't tolerate
Right.
being treated with disrespect.
Okay, so how do you actually do that?
Yeah, how do you say that?
Yeah, what do you say?
It can be as simple
Right.
as calmly
Uh-huh.
but firmly stating,
Uh-huh.
I don't appreciate being spoken to like that,
Okay.
or I'm not comfortable with that kind of humor.
Right.
You don't have to get into a big debate.
Okay.
Just clearly state your boundaries.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I imagine it can be intimidating,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you're dealing with someone
Right.
who's used to
Yeah.
like getting their way
Right.
or who tends to steamroll over others.
It definitely takes courage.
Yeah.
But remember,
Mhm.
you deserve to be treated with respect.
Right.
And if the behavior continues,
Yeah.
despite you setting boundaries,
Okay.
don't be afraid to disengage from the conversation
Hmm.
or even walk away.
That's
You don't
it.
have to subject yourself to
Yeah.
their negativity.
So basically what you're saying is
Uh-huh.
it's okay to walk away from someone
Yeah.
who's being a jerk,
Right.
even if they're family
Yeah.
or a coworker.
Okay.
Sometimes protecting your own well-being
Right.
means putting some distance
Yeah.
between yourself
Uh-huh.
and the source of negativity.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, another tactic you can try
Okay.
is to reframe
Okay.
their negativity. For
Yeah.
example, if
Mhm.
someone's constantly complaining,
Right.
you could gently steer the conversation towards solutions or
Right.
more positive topics.
I like that.
Yeah.
So instead of getting sucked into their negativity vortex,
Right.
you're subtly redirecting the energy.
Exactly.
It's like you're saying,
Yeah.
okay, you're having a bad day,
Right.
but let's focus on what we can actually do about it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It might not always work,
Right.
but it's worth a try.
Okay.
Here's another crucial point.
Okay.
Don't take their behavior personally.
Okay.
It's often not about you.
Right.
It's a reflection of their own internal struggles and insecurities.
That's a good reminder. It's easy to internalize
Right.
those negative comments and
Mhm.
start doubting yourself.
Uh-huh.
But if it's really more about them than you,
Exactly.
then maybe it's not worth taking to heart.
Right.
Their behavior is their responsibility.
It is not yours. Right.
Focus on protecting your own emotional well-being.
Exactly.
And don't waste energy trying to change them
No.
or fix their problems.
Don't do it.
You know, this whole conversation about niceness
Yeah.
and how to deal with not so nice people
Right.
has me thinking about something else
Okay.
that came up in that Reddit thread.
Uh-huh.
Several people mentioned
Oh, really?
that if you constantly have to tell people you're a nice person, you probably aren't.
Interesting.
What do you make of that?
I think it speaks to the idea
Yeah.
that actions speak louder than words.
Right.
If your behavior consistently demonstrates kindness and consideration,
Okay.
you likely won't feel the need to constantly proclaim your niceness.
It's like those people who brag
Right.
about how generous they are.
Uh-huh.
If they were truly generous,
Yeah.
wouldn't they just quietly do the good deeds
Right.
without needing all the attention?
Exactly.
So maybe those folks who are constantly telling everyone how nice they are
Yeah.
actually trying to convince themselves as much as they're trying to convince everyone else.
That's possible.
Like maybe it's a form of self-deception.
That's a very insightful observation.
And it leads us to a really important question.
Okay, what's that?
What's the difference between being nice
Mm-hmm.
and being good?
Good question.
Are those even the same thing?
Yeah, are they?
Some Redditors argued that striving to be good
Uh-huh.
is actually more meaningful than just being nice.
That's a really fascinating distinction.
And I have to admit,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I fully understand it.
Okay.
Can you unpack that a little bit?
Sure.
What's the difference between nice and good in this context?
Well, think of it this way.
Okay.
Niceness is often about outward behavior.
Okay.
Being pleasant,
Right.
agreeable,
Uh-huh.
avoiding conflict.
Okay.
But goodness goes deeper.
Right.
It's about your core values, your integrity, and your commitment to doing what's right.
Right.
Even when it's difficult.
So someone might be nice on the surface.
Yeah.
They smile.
Mm-hmm.
They say please and thank you.
Right.
They're generally polite.
Okay.
But underneath,
Yeah.
they might not be making choices
Right.
that reflect true goodness.
It's possible.
Like they might gossip,
Yeah.
betray trust,
Right.
or take advantage of others when it suits them.
Exactly.
You can be nice without being good.
You can.
And conversely,
Right.
you can be good without always being nice.
That's true.
Sometimes doing the right thing
Yeah.
requires difficult conversations,
Uh-huh.
setting firm boundaries,
Yeah.
or taking actions that might not be perceived as nice in the moment.
That's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
That really challenges the whole nice guy
Mhm.
or nice girl persona
Yeah. Right.
that we're often encouraged to adopt,
Yeah.
especially women.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
sometimes being nice
Right.
can actually be a way
Oh,
of
yeah.
avoiding conflict
Yeah.
or suppressing your own
Right.
needs and opinions.
You've hit on a really important point.
Sometimes
Yeah.
prioritizing niceness
Mm-hmm.
can actually be detrimental
It can.
to our own well-being
Yes.
and prevent us from speaking our truth
Right.
or standing up for what we believe in.
It can, yeah.
So if we're trying to be good people,
Yeah.
how do we balance that
Right. How do you balance
with the social expectation
Ugh.
of being nice?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in situations
Right.
where being honest or assertive
Mm-hmm.
might ruffle some feathers.
That's a tough question. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think the key is to be intentional
Uh-huh.
about our choices.
Okay, so what do you mean?
Well, we don't have to be nice
All the time.
all the time.
Right.
In fact, sometimes being good
Uh-huh.
means being willing to have
Okay.
those difficult conversations, to
Right.
set those boundaries,
Yeah.
even if it means someone might get upset.
So how do we know
Yeah, how do we know?
when to prioritize niceness and when to prioritize goodness?
That's the question.
Especially when it comes to those tricky situations
Yeah.
where there might be conflict involved.
Right.
That's hard.
It is tough.
Okay, so
Yeah.
give me some advice.
Okay.
How do we know?
I think it comes down to
Oh.
asking yourself a few questions.
Right.
First, what are your core values?
Okay, so what are my values?
Right. What do you believe
Uh-huh.
is truly important
Okay.
in terms of
Yeah.
how you treat yourself and others?
So first, I need to figure out my values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then ask yourself,
Okay.
what's the most ethical choice? in this situation?
Okay.
What's the kindest choice? Not just for the other person,
Right.
but for yourself as well.
That's important.
It is
That's
sometimes being good means recognizing that you deserve to be treated with respect too.
So it's not just about being a doormat.
Yeah, not a...
Or letting people walk all over us.
Exactly.
In name of being nice.
No.
Okay, good.
Sometimes the most good thing you can do is stand up for yourself.
Right.
Even if it means having a difficult conversation or setting a boundary that someone might not like.
Wow. This is really empowering.
I think so.
It's like we have permission to prioritize our own well-being.
Absolutely.
And our own values.
Yeah.
Even if it means not always being the nice one.
You got it. Yeah.
Remember, true goodness isn't about being perfect or pleasing everyone.
Yeah. That's a good point.
It's about making conscious choices that align with your values and that contribute to the well-being of yourself and others.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, this whole deep dive has been so thought-provoking. It's really made me reevaluate my own definition of niceness and what it truly means to be a good person.
It's definitely more complex than just smiling and saying please.
Absolutely.
And it's an ongoing journey. We're all constantly learning and evolving.
That's true.
And there will always be situations that challenge us to choose between nice and good.
I think so too.
The important thing is to be aware
of those choices and to make them consciously based on our own values and our commitment to living with integrity.
I think that's a great takeaway.
It is important.
So after this deep dive into Reddit's wisdom, what does it all mean?
Yeah, what have we learned?
What have we learned about true niceness and goodness?
Well, I think we've learned that genuine niceness is much more than just surface level politeness. It's about consistent respect, empathy, and integrity.
So it's about treating everyone with consideration, regardless of their perceived value to us.
Exactly.
And striving for goodness means aligning our actions with our values, even when it's challenging.
Even when it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this conversation has given you a lot to think about. Definitely.
It's easy to get caught up in the superficial aspects of niceness. But true kindness requires a deeper level of self-awareness and intentionality.
I agree.
And remember, cultivating genuine kindness and empathy is an ongoing journey. It's about making small choices every day to show up with compassion and integrity.
This whole conversation has given us so much to think about.
It has.
So, before we wrap up, what's one small action our listeners can take today to practice goodness?
Okay, that's a good one.
In their own lives.
Maybe it's reaching out to someone who's struggling. Offering a helping hand. Or simply choosing to speak kindly. Even in challenging situations. Remember, even the smallest acts of goodness can create a ripple effect.
Wow, I like that.
Making the world a little bit brighter, one interaction at a time.
That's a beautiful thought.
It is, isn't it?
To end on, thanks for joining us.
It was my pleasure.
On this deep dive. Into the heart of niceness and goodness.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
Okay.
Keep diving deep.
Yeah.
And keep choosing kindness.